At the end of the day, after all the phases are complete, I think the BJP will be somewhere around 220 and 230. That's my feeling.
So you're putting the BJP total at the end of all the voting rounds somewhere between 220 and 230. Is that right?
That's right. That is, a very generous kind of a reading of the situation. It could even go a little below 220. NDA partners, I think, will be somewhere around 35 to 42, 43.
So if you take the NDA inclusive of the BJP, you're then talking of 220, 230 for the BJP, plus 35 more for the rest of the NDA, which is a total of 255 to 265. That's the range for NDA, 255 to 265.
That's right, Karan.
Let me put it like this. Your starting point was the BJP would win between 220 to 230, but you added this was generous, the BJP could easily go lower. When we then did a state-wise breakdown, we've come to the conclusion that the BJP will probably end up with something like 201 or 202 seats. So would I be reasonably accurate in putting the following? Your position is that the BJP will end up between 200 and 220 seats. 200 at the low end, 220 at the upper end. That range is what the BJP can expect.
I would vote for that, yes.
If the BJP performs as poorly as you're expecting, what future do you see for Narendra Modi?
Karan, this is a complex question. But if you look at the around the world history, almost all dictators have ended their reigns either in handcuffs or in coffins.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. At a time when speculation about the election results is rife and everyone is asking what will the results be, we ask the question, how well or how poorly will the BJP perform? That is clearly one question for which everyone is aching to know the answer. And joining me now to help work out some sort of answer is the well-known author, economist, and commentator, Parakala Prabhakar. Dr. Parakala is Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's husband. Dr. Parakala, 4 rounds of voting are over, and the voting is complete in nearly 70% of the seats, or 379 to be precise. Let me ask you bluntly, at this point, what is your forecast for the number of seats the BJP is likely to win?
Karan, thank you very much for having me on your platform. I really love having the conversation with you. I just saw, I think yesterday, the Home Minister Shaw had said that they had already reached the 272 mark or 270. And, out of 379, if they say that they have already reached 270, he's talking about a strike rate of about 72 to 73%. I think it's impossible. My overall feeling, Karan, which I've been saying it for quite some time, as you know, is that, at the end of the day, after all the phases are complete, I think the BJP will be somewhere around 220 and 230. That's my feeling.
So you're putting the BJP total at the end of all the voting rounds somewhere between 220 and 230. Is that right?
That's right. That is, a very generous kind of a reading of the situation. It could even go a little below 220.
What about the alliance, the NDA? How many seats do you expect the NDA as a whole to win?
The NDA partners, Karan, the number has been fluctuating. If you look at Vajpayee's NDA 1, NDA 2, and then 2014, 2019, and 2014, now it is somewhere around 27 or so. Earlier it was about 25, 24, etc., etc. But then most of them, there are about 7 parties from Tamil Nadu which are unlikely to score even a single one. So NDA partners, I think, will be somewhere around 35 to 42, 43.
So if you take the NDA inclusive of the BJP, you're then talking of 220, 230 for the BJP, plus 35 more for the rest of the NDA, which is a total of 255 to 265. That's the range for NDA, 255 to 265.
That's right, Karan. And then I have to enter a caveat here. There is not a single party in the NDA coalition which could be a natural ideological ally to the BJP. Most of the allies are contextual allies. And most of these allies are contextual allies. And if the BJP is not going to make it on its own, some of the allies can just withdraw and go away from them.
So
So there is that danger.
you are saying to me that the NDA as a whole, even if it performs at the upper end of your range of 265, will fail to get 272. The NDA as a whole also will be below a majority.
That's right. That's right. Because a large number of NDA partners are not going to, have a single seat. And some of them who are going to have will have second thoughts on if the BJP is not strong enough on its own to be associated and to continue and help them to form a government. That's my reading.
Now, Dr. Parakala, I deliberately began by asking you how many seats you expect the BJP to win. You said between 220 to 30, but it could be fewer than that. I then deliberately asked you how many seats the NDA will win. Your range is between 255 and 265, which suggests that the NDA as a whole will also not have a majority. Now, let me ask you, on what basis do you come to these forecasts?
You see, it is not based on a quantitative study. As you know, this election I've not done, but I've done earlier. But this selection, I've been basing on 2 or 3 premises, which are of course rooted on the quantitative data that I have in my possession, and of course my travels around the country and talking to different sections of people. If you look at the historical data sets, Karan, the BJP, its earlier avatar of BJS, the Jansangh, had never crossed about 9 to 10% of the vote share. And when it transformed into BJP, its peak was somewhere, I think, in 1998, about 25% or so. And I'm not counting 2004 and 2009 because they're very below par. 2009, of course, is just about 18% or so. Now, from 25% to you had about 31% when the pitch was against policy paralysis and against corruption and all that, because mind you, the 2014 pitch was not Hindutva pitch. It was, then the prime ministerial candidate, Mr. Narendra Modi, went around the country saying that the fight is not between the Muslims and the Hindus, but between Muslims and Hindus on the one hand, and the unemployment and poverty and all other ills on the other hand. So this was the pitch. And that pitch, riding on the wave of India against corruption, the corruption, anti-corruption mood, a lot of urban middle class professionals, educated, etc., they all went over to the BJP, and of course, also the charisma and the articulation of Mr. Narendra Modi also added. It came to about 31%, and in 31%, you have to apply some correctives, Karan, because there are allies. Now, if a BJP candidate polls around 2 lakh votes in Andhra Pradesh, that doesn't mean BJP in that constituency has 2 lakh votes. It's the allies vote which is transferred, isn't it? So if you do the correction in that way, then from 25% in 98, which again had this allies and all that, it probably increased it by about 4 to 5%. So which is about 29% or 27%. Now, if you look at that and add another 4 or 5% in the wake of Balakot and Pulwama, so that is where you were. But after misgovernance, the economy is in a shambles, and there's absolutely no proper economic management. Economically, it's a very disastrous governance that we had, and the corruption on top of it, especially the electoral bonds and all that. I think it will go back to its 24, 23%, which was 98 or even prior to 98. If that is my basis. If that is the case, then the BJP on its own will not be more than 220.
So what you're saying is that because of the sort of governance we've had over the last 5 years, and you identified the characteristics of that governance, the BJP's vote share will slide back to 23, 24%, which is what it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And if that happens, you don't believe they will get more than 220, 230 seats. The basis, therefore, is that the BJP vote share will be sliding back to 23, 24%. Is that right?
That's right. If you allow me, Karan, I would like to add just a couple of sentences to this. You see, there seems to be a lot of confusion within the BJP as well as a lot of observers that all the additional vote that has accrued to BJP since 2014, from 2014, has accrued to them because of hardline Hindutva. It wasn't. As I said, the pitch in 2014 was not, even 2019 pitch was not. 2019 pitch was Pulwama, Balakot, and 2014 pitch was, against corruption and all that. But once this agenda has come forward very, very strongly, I think it has put off a lot of people, and coupled with the rising unemployment, price rise, economic mismanagement, and all that, I think this is going to cause a lot of damage. It is going to punish the BJP.
You're saying another very important thing. You're saying, far from the belief that Hindutva is adding to the strength and appeal of the BJP, you're actually suggesting it will detract and become a problem for the BJP. As you said, it's putting people off. It's not attracting them necessarily.
That's very true, because look at Ram Temple. Ram Temple has really not given the kind of dividends that the BJP had expected.
Okay. Let's then, against that background, which you've explained fairly fully, look at the breakup of the BJP's performance in some detail. First, what do you expect in the two Telugu-speaking states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana? In 2019, the BJP won 4 seats in Telangana. This time, in Andhra, they've allied with the TDP and hope to do better. What do you think will be the result in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh in 2024 as far as the BJP is concerned?
My reading, Karan, in Telangana, I mean, they'll find it very hard to retain the 4 that they have. I mean, that's a huge thing if they retain the 4. I would say, they might retain 4 and then add a couple of seats at best in Andhra because of its alliance with the Telugu Desam Party. They might get about 1 in Andhra. So it might be about 5.
Okay, so you're saying they will find it very hard to retain the 4 seats in Telangana, but even if they do just about retain those 4 seats, you don't think they'll add more than 2 in Andhra Pradesh, maybe only 1. And so your estimate is that between the 2 states, Telangana and Andhra, the BJP will get 5 seats altogether. Is that right?
Yes, it could be 1 to 5.
Okay.
5 is a very generous kind of a thing.
What about Tamil Nadu and Kerala? They had 0 seats in 2019 in those two states. What will happen in 2024?
Those two states will return again zero.
Again, zero. No seats in either Tamil Nadu or Kerala, despite the fact that BJP is making a great effort in both states.
Yeah, they are making a great effort, but I don't think that effort will really pay.
So when Amit Shah in his interviews boasts that the BJP could win up to 5 or 6 seats in Tamil Nadu and 2 or 3 in Kerala, you're saying that is just a boast. You do not think they will have any in either of those two states.
Political leaders forecasting is part of the campaign pitch.
Very
I
true.
think you should put it that way.
In other words, take the comments by political leaders like Amit Shah with a huge pinch of salt.
That's right, yes.
What about Karnataka? In 2019, the BJP won 26 of 28, if you include the seats won by its allies. What is going to be the case this time around?
I think they're going to have a very massive loss in Karnataka current. It could be anywhere between 12 and 15 minus there.
In other words, out of the total of 26, you're saying they could lose up to 15 and be only left with 11.
That's right, yes.
That is
Very
a
likely.
sizable loss.
That's a huge loss. In Karnataka, there's going to be a huge loss for them. And, hardly compensated by, 1 or 2 seats gained in Andhra Pradesh. So in the south of the 129 or 130, if you include the Pondicherry and everything, I think they are unlikely to get more than about, say, 10 or 12 in Karnataka and, about 4 in the Telugu states.
This is very interesting, Dr. Parakala. Last time around 2019, of those 129 or 130, if you had Pondicherry seats in South India, the BJP had 29. You're now saying that they'll get at best 10, 12 in Karnataka, let's say 12, at best another 4 in Telangana and maybe 1 in Andhra. That comes to a total of 17. So of the 29 seats, they're only retaining 17, they're losing 12.
Yeah, they could even lose 50%. If you focus on constituencies and have a look at it, but if you have a broad look at it, your figure is somewhere near the picture there.
They could even lose up to 50% of the 29 seats in South India that they won in 2019.
That is about 15 seats they are losing there.
Let's then come, Dr. Parakala, to North India. And let's start with UP, by far the biggest state. In 2019, they won 62 out of 80 seats. What do you think they will win this time around?
Karan, I think the maximum that they could make in UP, my reckoning, is 50. So they are set to lose about 12 to 15 seats there. At any rate, 12 seats.
That is a very sizable drop. In other words, they will be losing pretty close to somewhere between 1/5 and 1/6 of the seats they won in 2019.
Yes, that's how the picture looks there.
Let's come to the other big state in the north, Bihar. In 2019, NDA as a whole won 39 out of 40 seats.
No, let's discuss BJP first of all. NDA, as I said, they're very contextual allies. Especially in Bihar, it's very contextual.
What will happen to BJP in Bihar? I believe last time round, if I've got it right in memory, they won 18 themselves. How many will they win this time?
17 or 18 they won. I think they would definitely lose about 6 to 7 there.
Again, a very sizable loss in Bihar.
It is.
Let me pause and ask you, the losses in UP and Bihar are very sizable. You're confident of what you're saying?
I am. And, I must also say that, my estimates today, where I'm talking to you, are conservative estimates, which means, generous for the BJP.
In other words, the losses in UP and Bihar could be greater than a loss of 12 in
They could
UP,
be
a loss of
greater
7
by
in
a
Bihar.
number of 5 or 6.
What about the major Hindi-speaking states? I'm talking primarily about Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. Here, taken together in 2019, the BJP won 74 out of 79 seats. What is your expectation this time around in 2024?
I think in each of these states, Karan, um, they would lose, say, for instance, in Madhya Pradesh, they're likely to lose about three, at least. In Rajasthan, about five. And Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand together, they might lose about 10. Haryana, they might lose about 7 to 8. I think Delhi, after all what has happened and what's happening now, I think they might lose about 5 to 6 seats in Delhi.
5 to 6
Yeah,
seats out
yes,
of seven.
5 to 6 seats. Yes. If BJP thinks that they would lose one or two, um, that's a very delusionary kind of an estimate.
Let me just, for the sake of the audience, repeat what you said. They could lose up to 3 seats in Madhya Pradesh, up to 5 in Rajasthan. In Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand taken together, they could lose up to 10. In Haryana, they could lose between 7 and 8. In Delhi, they could lose out of 7 as many as 5 or 6. We're talking, therefore, about something like 30 seats down in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states. 30 seats down in those 6 states alone.
Yes.
Well, then let's come to 2 states that are perhaps a little bit more difficult for most people to forecast and predict. I'm talking about Maharashtra, I'm talking about Bengal. In 2019, NDA, as it was at the time, won 42 out of 48 seats in Maharashtra, and the BJP won 18 out of 42 in Bengal. This time in 2024,
No,
how many
Maharashtra
did the
BJP
BJP
won.
win?
Maharashtra BJP won 23 out of 48.
Quite right. And the NDA as a whole,
But
42 for Shiv
NDA,
Sena was there.
again, and NDA, as I said, it's a very very nebulous kind of a thing now, as I see it. And I explained my reasoning for that. Now, out of 23 in Maharashtra, I think BJP is in for a huge loss, Karan. My understanding of the situation, I've been to Maharashtra 3 or 4 times during the last 2 months, is I think they are going to lose somewhere around 12.
That is 50% of the seats they won in Maharashtra, they lose.
Yes.
What about Bengal, Dr. Parakala? They won 18 out of 42 in 2019. What will happen there?
I think from the tally of 18, they are likely to lose about 4 or 5, minimum.
In other words, they'll come down to something like 13 or 14 seats.
Yes.
There are some people predicting that the BJP will do better in Bengal than they did in 2019. You disagree?
I disagree. Yes. Because, I've studied Bengal, and I've studied not just, the past vote share and other things, but I've also studied the political geography of Bengal, and why there was no, India alliance in Bengal, in the sense, Congress and TMC and CPM and other. And I have a feeling, I'll tell you this, because the results will bear out, most probably, is that, tactically speaking, the Congress and TMC not getting together is going to work to their advantage.
Whose advantage?
The India alliance advantage.
So something that people thought was
It's very counterintuitive, but
absolutely something that people thought was a setback for the
yes.
India alliance
No,
actually
it's
will
not.
work to their
It's
advantage.
not. If you look at the political geography of Bengal, it actually is an advantage. That's my feeling. And I've gone into the details. What was the trend in North Bengal? What's the trend in around Calcutta? I've studied the political geography and which are the political forces which are, active and, you see what happened to the lower cadres of CPM and what happened to the lower cadres of Congress and where did they go and what, all put together. My inference from all this, and after a lot of discussion with a lot of people who have been studying Bengal politics very closely, is that the advantage is now to both the Congress as well as the TMC.
Let's come to Mr. Modi's home state, Gujarat. Will the BJP, as they did in the last two elections, 2014, 2019, clean sweep Gujarat?
Unlikely, Karan. I think they are poised to lose about five. You know, the vote share is a different thing, but because you see, in most of the constituencies where BJP is likely to win, they might win with huge margins. But where it is poised to lose, even if it is losing by smaller margins, I think in seat wise, I think they are poised to lose about five in Gujarat.
Let me then ask you to sum up the picture in North India. I'll repeat for the audience that when you summed up the picture in South India, you said the BJP could lose up to 50% of the 29 seats in South India that they won in 2019. Let's now come to North India. In the case of almost every single North Indian state that we've discussed, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Haryana, Delhi, Maharashtra, Bengal, and Gujarat. In every single case, you said the BJP will be losing seats compared to 2019. I
Yes.
haven't been able to add up all the losses, but they're clearly somewhere in the range of 70 to 80 seats, or maybe at least, shall I say, 65 to 75.
That's right. Yes. You see, the 2 points come out very prominently in North India. One, the BJP is not able to add seats. One. Two, the BJP is not able to retain the last score. Three, of course, as a follow-up to that, is that it is losing. It's losing about, I think if you all if you put everything together that I said, it's losing about 75 seats there.
In North India.
In North India, 75 there and about 15 seats in South India, all put together. I'm not talking about, and in the Northeast, they are going to suffer. In Assam also, they're going to suffer. In Northeast, they're going to suffer. And, small, nibbling away from here and there, I think if you add another 6 or 7 to that number, I think somewhere, if you want to be very, very realpolitik, what's happening on the ground, it's about 90 or 95. And if you want to be very cautious and if you want to hedge, it's about 80 in North India.
So you're saying, including now the seats that they will lose in the Northeast, you're saying the total losses are somewhere between 95. That is to say, the total losses in South India, North India, and the Northeast, the total losses are 95 at the upper end, 80 at the lower end. That is an average loss of about 87 seats in North India.
Yes, and we need to look at it towards the higher end of the figure that I have said, not the conservative, not the lower end.
Will they gain any seats in Orissa? I know you said you expect them to lose seats in the Northeast, including Assam. Will they gain any seats in Orissa?
Unlikely, especially after the recent utterances of the Prime Minister against Biju Janata Dal and Mr. Patnaik. I think whatever little chances they had of any gain or even chance of retaining their, I think they have over 9 there.
I think they have 11 or 12.
Yeah, I think they are risking those numbers there.
So just to sum up the picture, you're saying the BJP could lose in North India, which includes now the Northeast and Assam. between 95 at the upper end and 80 at the lower end. Let's take an average of 87. So 87 seats lost in North India and the Northeast, another up to 15 lost in South India. That comes to a total of 102 seats. Since the BJP won 303 in 2019, you're actually talking about the BJP winning somewhere around 201, 202, much
Yeah.
lower than the 220, 230 we started with.
220, 230, last time when I said this, that was in the context of the electoral bonds. But after that, whatever has happened, and and if you look at the lower side of what I'm saying, is they could be below 220. They could be below 220. But if there are, because these are all estimates, not based on the quantitative data, but the overall page and the overall percentage of past elections and all that, then even if there is a little error here and there, it cannot be more than 220 at any rate, Karan.
So let me put it like this. Your starting point was the BJP would win between 220, 230, but you added this was generous. The BJP could easily go lower. When we then did a state-wise breakdown, we've come to the conclusion that the BJP will probably end up with something like 201 or 202 seats. So would I be reasonably accurate in putting the following? Your position is that the BJP will end up between 200 and 220 seats. 200 at the low end, 220 at the upper end. That range is what the BJP can expect.
I would vote for that, yes.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
We're coming right to the end of this interview, Dr. Parakala. If the BJP performs as poorly as you are expecting, what sort of government do you anticipate on June the 5th? I assume what you have in mind is an opposition coalition government. Am I correct?
Well, you see, the government making is a very different thing altogether. I'm talking about the elections. Now, if you put a pistol to my head and say, what is the government going to be? I think the government is going to be an opposition alliance. And I'm not willing to, hazard a guess of who would be the prime minister, etc., etc. I'm not getting into that. But then I think the BJP-led government is a thing of the past. 2024 June, we will definitely see a non-BJP, non-NDA government, is what I foresee.
A non-BJP, non-NDA government, as you put it, a BJP-led government is a thing of the past. The BJP, therefore, will not be part of the government, nor will the NDA. It's therefore an opposition government. Who and which people from the opposition we aren't talking about, but it's an opposition coalition government.
Yeah, it's a non-NDA, non-BJP government.
My last question, if the BJP performs as poorly as you're expecting, what future do you see for Narendra Modi?
Karan, this is a complex question. But if you look at the around the world history, almost all dictators have ended their reigns either in handcuffs or in coffins.
You really mean that could be the fate in store for
You
Mr.
know,
Modi?
I'm not saying deterministically. I just told you what happened to the past autocrats and past dictators. This is what I said. Having said that, I think the BJP and the overall overarching Hindutva organizations, and especially its leader, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, they probably would realize sooner than later that somewhere they've overplayed their hand, and the Modi Shah dispensation had taken things too far. Because you see, when this was the main agenda of a political outfit called either Hindu Mahasabha or Janasangh, or earlier years of in between somewhere for the BJP, the country did not actually accept that. And when this dispensation came also, they did not push, or they did not they did not pitch for the kind of agenda that they're talking about. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a massive rejection, both at the ballot box as well as at the level of the allies. And as I wrote recently, I think the present dispensation has too many ugly skeletons in the cupboard, starting from Rafale to Pegasus to PMKs to electoral bonds to electoral manipulation. Look at the way they've done with
Okay.
the Commission of India and all that. If you look at all this, and if the new government which is likely to be formed starts looking at it, it's going to be very, very difficult for you see,
I
after
take your point. If all
just
of
a
this
minute,
is looked
just
at,
one more sentence, Karan. After the Modi Shah circus leaves the highway, it is the BJP's organization and the Sangh Parvar and the RSS which will have to come and carry the can to clean up.
I thank you, Dr. Parakala, not just for the time you've given me, but for the forecasts you shared with me. And for the sake of the audience, I'll repeat the main highlights of that forecast. You believe the BJP itself will end up somewhere between 200 seats at the low end and 220 at the upper end. That could be just about 100 less than the 303 they got in 2019. You also believe that the NDA as a whole will fall short of the 272 needed to form a government, and therefore you've said that the government that will be formed on the 5th of June, once the results are out, will be a non-BJP led, a non-NDA led government. You expect an opposition alliance. And when I asked you, what do you believe the future holds for Mr. Modi? You gave me the following somewhat elliptical but suggestive answer. You said history suggests that when dictators fall, they usually end up in handcuffs or coffins. You added that may not necessarily be Mr. Modi's fate, but that is what historically usually happens to dictators when they fall. I thank you, Dr. Parakala, for sharing your forecast with me. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Karan. Thanks. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.